Gemini 30, bathing beauties. So a group of women dressed in swimming costumes or something, showing off how sexy they are. It's subject to some controversy today, objectifying the physical body for sexuality. But the image here, in 1925, they didn't have this kind of attitude, really, so we have to put it in the context of that. What we do when we exemplify physical beauty, when we say, you are the best examples that there are of our current idea of what is beautiful, it could be for titillation, it could be for announcement, the same as perhaps a fashion show just shows what is the current sense of what is beauty. What we're talking about in this mystery is the whole process by which we come up with our standards and our values. Values about what is good and what is better and what is best. These change very quickly. And they're certainly different from country to country, as well as from decade to decade. So forget about the standards of physical beauty for the moment, what we find pretty and sexy. Just think about standards of morality and behavior and courtesy and what is attainment and so on. How do we define them? And how do we describe them? How does the community know what is expected? What is good? What to look to attain to? For example, in the West, they have debating societies, and the victor is the one who defeats the opponent by ardent argument. Whereas in, say, Tibet, their process of debate is, to the victor, is given the prize because he or she can see both sides of the argument and unite them into an integrated, harmonious understanding. So the values they have in that particular time and place are to do with harmony, harmonizing things. Whereas the values we have in the West are to do with winning, competing, beating your opponent. And we establish these values in the public domain. We put on shows, television shows and all manner of other stuff to make it clear to everyone what we are currently saying is the standard. That's the first thing. The second part, the second wisdom for this particular degree has to do with showing ourselves out, expressing ourselves fully, with no false modesty. Showing off. And showing off really is discouraged. At some age, when you're very young indeed, showing off is encouraged. And then, let's say when you go to school or something, it soon becomes the case that show-offs are told off. And there's no instruction given so that before school you're allowed to do that, after school you're not. Nobody explains it to us. And so there's this mixed message being given about whether or not to show off. And it's very different from country to country. It may be different in America, where we in England see Americans as being rather more inclined to show their abilities and to proclaim their skills. And some people in England would wag their finger at that. Oh, Americans are arrogant, they show off. Whereas in the English way of being, it is considered high grace, very well mannered, to be ridiculously modest and to tell lies. Could you play the guitar? Oh, I'm learning. To somebody who's a master, he would tell a lie. He would say, no, I can't play the guitar, when in fact he can, in order to be falsely modest. And yeah, that works in terms of getting kudos in society for people who don't mind telling white lies. But we do. We're spiritual people. We're spiritual seekers. We mustn't tell lies. It's as bad as it gets to tell a lie. There's hardly a worse crime, I think. If somebody asks you whether you're good at something, then you have to tell the truth somehow. Now, you can make it as graceful and as charming as you like, but no false modesty is you cannot find that reconciles with the spiritual path. It's a lie. So these bathing beauties are saying, look, we're beautiful. That's the truth of the matter. And you like us. That's the truth of the matter. Now, whether that's acceptable because of your false modesty and your prudishness, that's your business, that's your problem. But we're not prudish. We're quite happy to have beautiful bodies in this particular example. And we're not ashamed of it. Why would we be? It's a gift of nature. Whatever gifts you have of nature, let them show. Obviously, it's kinder not to show them off in the presence of somebody who's a bit jealous because they haven't got what you have. On the one hand, that's kindness, but on the other hand, it would be very wrong to pretend something isn't true, like you haven't got them. And if somebody, I do this a lot. I'm known as arrogant because I say what I can do. But only half of the people think I'm arrogant. The other half say, well, yeah, I can do this. And so half of us are just allowing each other to just build our confidence by saying, yeah, I'm good at that. And the other half are wagging their fingers at us for being arrogant. What a strange world we live in. And you will find even in your local community that there are different standards according to different types of people. Like the pub goers would believe this, and the churchgoers would believe that, and the children would believe that, and the teenagers would believe something else. And they'd all have these different standards of what is acceptable, or in fact, exemplary behavior. And what we're talking about in this degree is that we need that. We need there to be statements of standards, and you need to sign up for something. You need to make a decision about what you hold to be the appropriate values that you want to live by. Do you tell lies or not? Some people do, some people don't, and they tend to polarize into groups. Do you drink or not? They polarize into groups. Do you go to church or not? They polarize into groups. So which is your set of values? You know, there's a bunch of people who are here that do the kind of things you agree with. That's your group. And it's really quite important to find whether you have a group, and if you have not a group, why not, and so on. You might be a marginal. Many of us studying the Sabian Symbols would be considered marginals by our friends. In other words, we live on the margins. We're a bit weird. We don't really fit in. And some high percentage, 1 in 6 or 7 people in the world have some of the descriptive qualities of Asperger's or autism, where we're not really easily able to fit in with the mainstream. And the mainstream doesn't know that. So they think of us as troublemakers, but in fact we're just this particular minority. If we were obviously different by having a different coloured skin or something, then it would be a lot easier for the marginals to find their place within the community. So what we do is we look for a community of people that share the same values as us. And it's helpful to define what those values are. Does it matter to you whether you and your friends are physically beautiful? It does to some people. Does it matter to you whether they tell the truth or not? Well, it does to some people, you know, or that they believe in God and they practice that in this way or that way. Does it matter to you? Would you mix with somebody from a different religion or not? What's important to you? Work that out, because until you work that out, you just don't know yourself. Make a claim here and make a statement, because if you sit on in between this and that, you won't ever find out who you are. Make a decision about who you are.